people who were after it. So, Eamon, how
Yo,
are things? What are we talking about tonight?
Amazon. What else is there to talk about? Sure, the world's going to shite. Don't talk about anything else. Just focus on Amazon.
What do you mean the world's going to shine? What are you talking
The price of
about?
diesel, sir. Have you seen the price of diesel? Red diesel's
Shit.
getting that expensive. I'm
You're,
going to have to start going to a different
you
color.
beat you beat me to the punchline. You gotta go get that blue diesel.
Well, we've
Just
actually had to start doing was have to actually start getting second-hand diesel and washing it to make it cleaner so we could use it.
that's really just not cool. Sure, it's not.
Oh, here. It's very frustrating. Um, but sure, what do you do? What about yourself? How's life?
Good, thanks. Busy, 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 busy. Looking forward to Storm Dave over the weekend, just in time for Easter.
Saying
But
that.
hopefully get out tomorrow and early and try and get ahead of him.
Um, I'm not too bothered, but I'll be grand. Do you know why I'll be grand?
Where are you going to be?
I'll be here, but I can't switch off. So over Christmas, when most people are like, doing nice, relaxing things with family, I was sitting at government auction websites. So I bought myself 800 foot of a extension cables and I have them all wired up. So my generator that I have at my parents' house, I can wire up my parents' house, wire up my brother's house, and wire up mine off the one generator. So big bright orange cable, 10 minutes to roll it out, and we're good to go.
I thought you were going to say you're going to run electricity across the border, do some arbitrage.
No, they actually do that. Most of our electricity is actually bought in Dublin. And Power NI is actually owned by, what is it? Aircom or Airtel, no, it's electric. But yeah, Power NI is actually owned by Irish Electric. They just don't tell people. Could you imagine what we, Arlene, and our friends would say if she found that out?
I would not be happy. Well, I
They would
probably know
want
all that.
good Ulster Electric. So yeah, if the power goes out, I'll do fine. As long as I've got a wee bit of Wi-Fi.
Good stuff. So what have you been up to, Eamon? It's been fairly. I mean, what are we? 2nd of April.
2nd of April,
How's
Q1 is
how's
gone,
Q1?
Q2.
Q1's going.
Q1, I had big plans and big ideas, and halfway through the month of January, I got a serious slap in the face and went, okay, so we're doing this now. And completely pivoted, and it's been massive. So, as you know, and as some people watching this might know, I do a small amount of prep for a couple of other Amazon sellers. And I thought, you know what, we've got a bit of capacity. I could afford to push that out a wee bit more. I'll run a very basic Facebook advert going, hey, if you want to start moving stock in from Europe, Northern Ireland, I'm your boy, give me a shout. And I mustn't have phrased it very articulately as to what I was offering because a local business person seen the advert, filled in their details, and I phoned them. And they spent 20 minutes doing what anybody from Northern Ireland would do of how you doing that? Where are you buying that from? What's that costing you? Who's your granny? What did your dad have for dinner? And but did it in a manner that was quite polite and inquisitive. And I love talking all things Amazon, so I just spilled my guts. And he was, oh, was just the only reason I ask is I own it. I'm like, sorry, what do you own? And he mentioned the name of a wholesaler, which I would buy a lot of stock off. And he's like, yeah, I'm the director of that. Bought it a couple of years back, and I'm like, all right. He's like, son, I think you're missing a bit of a trick here. Hey, I'm like, enlighten me. He's like, well, why would you not just list our entire catalog? We deliver to you, and then you just post it the next day, and sure, you wouldn't have to hold any stock and just do it out that way. Some people have pointed out it's drop shipping. I'm mildly insulted by that suggestion. And I was like, yeah, that would work. And he's like, sure, I'll call out and visit you. And did that and then had me over to the offices and stuff. And It's one of them ones was like, right, take a couple of weeks to get this set up. We only went live with it yesterday morning, and already it's turned my head. Now we did switch it on about 3 weeks or a month ago to sort of test it out like a soft launch. And it's a good thing we did because our delivery process through Every was wrong. The Belfast depot was flagging them all as returns and just firing them into a corner till they had a load of them. So we very quickly had a lot of people going, "Where's my parcel? I want a refund." So we've that sorted out.
Uh,
We had Every over for a visit yesterday. We've committed to a minimum of 200 parcels a day. So have to go from a dead stop to a bit of a counter quite quickly. And yeah, we've been very focused on that. So I'm not pivoting. It's not an either or, it's both. So FBA is still going the exact same line. We're still buying all the exact same lines are doing it the same way we would. I went, got more capital for doing the FBM, bought a lorry load of cardboard. Um, Coincidentally, in the same government auction where I bought all the extension leads, I bought a pallet, well, two pallets actually, of bin bags and a pallet of box tape. So they're going to come in handy. So all the quick kit set up, and yeah, we're now doing that, and it's
you know, whenever
it's it's
whenever
mad.
I said all those years ago, you're not going to fill that, you'll never fill that shed.
Of two of them
You
full.
can't, you can't fill it with cardboard. It's cheating.
You never specified. And anyway,
In fairness, I never specify. No, I'm only no fair play to you, mate. That's
I
two
I left
two
it
hundred orders a
trade
day. So fair play.
50,000 a year. We've agreed to. Technically, if you split it out over 7 days, it drops down to a mere 137 or 139 or the likes. And you're like, that's very manageable. So we'll see how that goes.
Fair play. You
Um,
also had without naming names, you sort of sat down with what a big company a few weeks ago. Um,
yeah, that's an ongoing thing. I can't say there'd be much come for that in a while. Um, yeah, they are a global brand. But literally that's been going for at least 2 years. And had a
at
meeting,
least two
went very
years, mate.
well. Hmm?
At least 2 years.
At least
Jeez.
2 years. Yeah. I first broached the topic of trying to do their 3PL for them 2 years ago. I've been buying off them for about four, but yeah, 2 years ago, I was like, hey, let's go. Um, Fun fact, the guy that put me in touch with the connection in that company, who's now my account manager, has since stopped selling on Amazon because he says there's no money being made in it. And I'm like, I appreciate your endeavors. I appreciate your endeavors because that is a potential between 10 to 20 grand profit per month if that pulls off.
So
They are a company,
what is
well,
he
they're a
saying
company,
that you are? Sorry, what's he not saying that you are? With that,
in the big picture, he was nickel and diamond and he wasn't doing a volume. The product is a volume product. It's, yes, some of them do good margin, but you're not making 20 quid in one. You might be making a pound if you're lucky. You might only be making 80p. Um, but they are, how will I put them? So they are an everyday item. They are in a category that Amazon has informed me is growing at just shy of 25% a year growth in the category. They have a 25% market share of their subcategory. So, and they are currently doing 188,000 a month in revenue on Amazon. So that's revenue. When I spoke to them the other day in the meeting, they were like, to be fair to you, we're only interested in Vendor Central. We don't want to sell to Amazon. I'm like, that's a fair point, but you do know Amazon accounts for 40.1% of the revenue. So are you comfortable just deleting 60% of your revenue if you just don't want to do that? And they went, um.
um,
And then I had a pitch deck, and I was like, here is issues with listings. Here is issues where other brands are selling your products claiming to be them. Here is one listing where another brand's selling your product claiming to be them. And now Amazon's selling on that third party. brand as a third party seller. So now Amazon's given an endorsement to a listing that is intellectual infringement and giving them credence as legitimacy as being you. And they were like, yeah, we didn't realize that was happening. And I was like, if you're doing 188
Wow.
grand a month, 25% growth at 25% market share with no advertising just in the UK, give me a year to update your listings, to start running PPC, top deals, vouchers, subscribe and save. They'd never heard of subscribe and save. And I was like,
Seriously?
and when you're at it, I have checked, as long as I run a lorry, I can have it in Balladon in Dublin in 2 hours and get it whole island as well of Ireland. And they were like, we need to speak to our boss and come back to you. I'm like, you go do that. So I don't think I think they were coming on to the meeting with, all right, you want a couple of listings with the title changed? I'm like, no, here's the situation. They were like, oh. And they were like, yeah, Amazon I think's got like 3 or 4 listings. I'm like, it's 11. And we're like, oh. I'd done a little bit of homework. It's not like me to be prepared, but I was very prepared.
Not like you to be prepared. Um, I think it'd be good. Like the people watching this we're kind of straight in at the the high end stuff. What's the what's the process to get in rooms like that with big global companies and local wholesalers that you're buying from? And I mean, there's not going to be one thing really, Eamon, but what would you say is the sort of
In these 2 ways.
approach or philosophy?
There's 2 ways of doing it. The first way is really easy, but most people can't do it. Start placing orders so big that their accounts department start going, who the hell is this? Start placing orders that are stupidly big that they start phoning you going, sorry, who are you and why are you ordering that much? That works really, really well, but it is incredibly hard to do if you don't have the capacity either financially to purchase the products or to get them shipped in the volumes you're buying.
Logistically, yeah. Yeah.
So for the most part, and the bigger the brand, the bigger the purchase has to be that it's noticeable. Um, so that's one way of doing it. It does work. Um, the other way is to get in through a door and just ask the person inside it, can they let you into the other room? And that might sound a wee bit sort of contrived, but with that brand that I'm talking about, I was I was buying them 9 years ago in Tesco's.
Mm.
Buying them in Tesco's 9 years ago. I then started going, hey, these are items, they're selling well enough. Started buying them wholesale from third party independent wholesalers in England. I tried a couple of times to phone their head office, and then somebody just happened to give me the name of a rep. And from there, I built up a relationship. It's so weird. Came on the Teams meeting the other day, and my rep was sitting on the call, and I'm hello, and I'm like,
Mm.
sorry, who are you? And she introduced herself, and I had to apologize. She's like, what are you apologizing for? And I'm like, I've never actually seen you in person, and I had a completely different avatar built up in my head of who you are. And she was like, yeah, completely different from what I was expecting. Um,
Wait until
but
they meet you in real life.
wouldn't do that in them. But yeah, it's just a simple case of speaking to who you can speak to and asking them to introduce you to other people.
So would you like we get a lot of people message people who started a couple of years ago, gave it a give it the old college try, give it their best shot and just kind of walked away. I mean, 9 years, it's a long time. Um, what would you say to people who are finding it tough at the start? Because it's especially tough at the start. There's a really steep learning curve, and for most people, this is their first business or certainly first online business.
What would I tell them?
Yeah, I mean, what's kept what's kept you going over the last 9 years?
Thick wit, complete thick wit. Um, there is so much utter nonsense in social media, and I think a lot of people look at us now and be like, right, they're not 20-year-olds running around in rented BMWs trying to be the big I am. But it's what it takes. I'll go on a bit of a tangent. So you said about not filling the warehouse with cardboard. I had it filled a couple of weeks ago with cardboard. I had a guy come and left over 3 ton of waste cardboard out of it the other day. He is 56 and he told me his daily routine. He's up every morning at 4:30. He's in the office for 5:30 and he'll go to maybe 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And he was like, most people say, oh, it's not worth it, it's not doing that. And he's like, those 50p's add up. And it's
Yeah.
just about the graph for him. He collects waste cardboard. He is a bin man. And he said there was one day he was coming out of Belfast, the wife and the son, and a shop in Uri phoned him and goes, here, nobody showed up today to lift our cardboard. He's like, oh, we're only at Sprucefield, sure, we'll be there in half an hour, we'll come lift it. And he said he rocked up and he opened the boot of the car and him and the son started kicking the bales into the boot. And somebody walked past and goes, are you serious? Like, what? He's like, you're putting waste cardboard into the boot of a Rolls Royce? And he goes, shit, it's only a car.
Hmm.
But he was collecting the Rolls Royce. Um, but
I
yeah,
think there's a lot to say about what's the right word? Being humble or the humility of that. A lot of people find reasons not to do things. Might have rocked up in his nice car. And people think, oh, well, I can't possibly make a bit of a mess, or I can't possibly try this, or I can't possibly make a mistake. So I think there's a lot of, I think the big thing that, how would I say this? When the well, you've kind of
it,
alluded to it, Eamon, already, and I will get to a point. So when
okay.
you say that that person had an avatar of you, and they had this idea of what you spoke like or looked like, even, I think people have an idea with that when it comes to the business as well. It's kind of like,
Oh,
well,
absolutely.
I'll
Like,
possibly do this, but I couldn't possibly do that. When ultimately it's whatever it takes.
you know, people like when I started, I didn't think I could do it, and it's like, oh, it's not for me. And now it is that thick wit. Like your guy, his whole mantra was go and get it done. And he was like, I still collect it. He's like, my wife's in the office. I don't want to be in the office. I make my money driving a lorry. And he's like,
Mm,
I'll be driving down the road. I'll look over a hedge and I'll see a business with a couple of bales of cardboard lying around the back. I'll go in, I'll talk to them. It's a new supplier. And that was the way he was talking about it, incremental, the daily graft of it. There is too many, and pardon the language, but lazy bastards who don't want to do a day's work, but they want it handed to them on a silver platter. The amount of people we speak to, I need to be earning £10,000 a month in 3 months.
it's all I know.
Okay, what are you on at the minute? My take home's 1800, but I need 10 grand in 3 months. You're deluded. Put in a bit of graft, and maybe in 6 months you're earning two and a half. You're not going to be a millionaire overnight, but in a couple of years, you could be running your own business, have staff working for you, and be deciding, you know what, it's Easter, I'm going to take an extra couple of days off, and we'll finish half day on a Friday, we'll do this. Like you still have to put the graft in, but it's on your terms. And I think a lot of people miss that. A lot of people miss that. And it's the one thing I would see so many times. I and it goes back to the same thing of choose your hard. You know, you can either put in like I've done two, I've done 3 nights this week, this computer to 3 a.m. I sat last night and had two back-to-back meetings with VAs about pricing. The night before, I wanted to sign off two wholesale VAs, so that had to be getting done. And the night before, well, we were going live the next day, and I wanted to make sure everything was set up and was still trying to insert stuff on eBay. It's a busy week. I'm taking next week off, but I put the graft in this week. What, 4 years ago, this time we were sitting in Amalfi, laying on the beach, watching really great sales and really great profits from Easter eggs, and sitting going, "Hey, I'm sitting on the beach today, making great profit." The work was done in January, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people they get suckered in by so much nonsense in social media of passive income and 4 hour work week, which you go into any small independent business and you ask the owner of it, "Do you work a 4 hour week?" And they're like, "Yeah, before breakfast."
Hmm.
It's not realistic to think you're going to work 4 hours a week and earn a life-changing amount of money. It's going to let you run your life and still grow a business. It is achievable, but you have to put the work in.
I think, especially over the past year, 18 months with AI just, really, kicking on. I think it's a Zempic for people who just want to get rich quick. And people see all this AI stuff and they're like, well,
AI is
I'll
great.
just become a, I just become a, I know you love AI. You
I
love it.
love AI. AI has reassured me 100% that my job is safe because, oh my sweet divine God, the nonsense that AI has told me over the last couple of days when I've been trying to do things. AI is great if you want to say, "Hey, what's 3 times 7?" And it'll say, "Let me think for 48 seconds." And then it'll come back, 3 times 7 might be 21. However, here's an advert that says it could be 23. And you're like, thanks. But like I was getting to help you fill out a spreadsheet, which to be fair, I couldn't have done it on my own. And after several hours, it was like, "Does them asterisks mean name or columns that are compulsory?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to say that." Whereas if you were talking to a human being, it'd be like, "Those ones are, fill them in and then run it." So AI can do a lot of menial tasks very quickly, it can run a lot of data, but people's jobs are safe. It's just some of the tasks will be made redundant.
Yeah. I mean, I like you say, that the more that you use it, the longer the, conversation is, the more it hallucinates. And it's just, yeah, it's great for simple, quick stuff at the moment, but it's not going to replace VAs or, actual intelligence when it comes to Amazon anytime soon.
Well, give it a while. I think it does have the potential and it will become more and more into everyday life. But I've started watching content where it says, give it a couple more years and the internet's going to be bots sitting talking to each other and people will stop using the internet for the same way now. It'll not engage as much. So be curious in that one. But getting back to all things Amazon, the only way I see it doing that is it can analyze spreadsheets a wee bit better. It can do VLOOKUPs and different things, but I'm not too worried about what it's going to do to me.
Good to hear.
And for
All
anybody
right.
it is, be the one running the machine. That's how you stay ahead of the game. Engage with it, learn how it can run your job better, and master it as a tool. So, like a stonemason is an incredibly crafted tradesman. He's not just setting stones on top of each other. He knows how to cut, dress, and place the exact stone in the right place. Do the same thing with AI. Know exactly how and when to apply it.
Yeah. Let's just check through a few questions here. We've got a few questions dropped that I've already shared. Let's see if there's any more come through in messages. So yeah, the messages we the questions we've got, sorry, really the fairly beginner orientated, but we'll certainly get stuck into them. So I mean, there's a message come in from Anthony. Everyone says it's too competitive on Amazon now. Don't know about
It
you,
is.
Eamon, but I was told the same thing in 2017.
The best time to start was last year, mate. Um, is Amazon too competitive? No, Amazon's not too competitive. People that are doing OA and sitting in Discord groups with 300 people and they are flat out in Discord for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. You're going, if you're that responsive, you're not actually doing any real work. I've seen me messaging people and taking a week for them to get back to me because they're busy. So that's the problem. If you're in a deal group and 300 people get told Smiths have a Lego item that's making 20 quid profit selling 100 times a month, go and stick your horse in the 310 at Cheltenham. You have better odds of actually making money on it. So that I think is a big issue. Secondly, as well, there can be no question that over the last 2 years, I'd say Amazon have become a lot more stringent in their compliance requirements, especially with gating, know your customer and different aspects of how they make customers or sellers jump through hoops. And people go, oh, I'm just going to go and stick to eBay and I'm going to do this and do that. And it's taken me 9 years to realize it's not an either or between marketplaces, and you could be selling on multiple marketplaces, though I would say pick one and go for it rather than trying to do 12 at one time. Um, it boils down to Amazon wants professional sellers. If you go onto Amazon homepage now as a customer, down at the bottom, they've got an article showing you how to get started doing retail arbitrage. People will argue to the cows come home on Facebook groups that retail arbitrage, you can't sell it from you and it's against terms of service. Amazon has a quick start how-to guide of how to do retail arbitrage on their website for customers to do that. They're encouraging you. It fills a requirement in the market for them. What Amazon wants though is professional sellers. They want, okay, start, be a bedroom warrior for a couple of months, and then get yourself in order. If you're going to do this properly, get the right paperwork. If not, sell the low value, low priority items that we don't care about. Which is why the cosmetics and beauty categories are so gated at the minute. Amazon themselves have told me we had a flood of counterfeit products coming into North America from overseas. And the way US legislation works is the marketplace is legally liable. So they were like, well, we'll quickly stop that. And then they've disseminated that same policy from North America to Western Europe. And you can't blame them. Would you want to be sued because of the behavior of somebody else when you could simply say, show me an invoice to make sure you're not doing that?
I think
So,
that's the key line that you've said, that the marketplace is liable when it's a counterfeit or it's a dangerous product. So, you know, my previous job was in compliance for Amazon, and it's a pain in the bum, but it's necessary. It's for Amazon to build a global brand and maintain it, they need checks and balances. They need
oh yeah.
paperwork in order. It's because they're liable for it.
Yeah, like it would be so easy if that was the case and they weren't doing due diligence. It'd be so easy for me to set up an account, start selling counterfeit lipstick, for you to buy one, say you took allergic reaction, and sue Amazon and get a couple of hundred grand, and repeat that every time. And they're not going to let that happen. So, of course, you're going to do that. So, Amazon is challenging, without question. It is challenging. But every time I hear somebody say it's too hard, I'm not going to do it, I'm like, thank you. Just before you decide to shuffle away off, could you please not screw up any of the listings I'm on because it's going to take 6 months for them to recover. Just leave quietly. Um, but online retail is growing. 20% of all retail in the United Kingdom is on the Amazon marketplace. 20% of all online retail is on that one website. And like I consider this business. People talk about side hustle and say, when you're approaching suppliers, do you tell them you sell on Amazon? I'm like, I tell the people I meet in the street, I sell on Amazon. I'm incredibly proud of what I do. I'm incredibly proud of what I've achieved. So I'll tell anybody that listen to me. So I've no issue doing that. And I think that is what has sort of made me. I fully committed it. It has become my identity. Like my family group chat today, my sister bumped into our old GP who's now retired. And she said was, he asked about the Amazon guru. I don't think I ever spoke to him about Amazon, but he's obviously seen something somewhere online and he knows now that's what I do. And that's how he's referring to a former patient. So I've accepted it or adopted it very much as my identity, and that has fed me. And let's be realistic, it is a tight game. Like my goal for last year was to break even. I mean, you see some of the screenshots I put out of revenue to tell people my goal is to break even. They'd be like, what's the point? I'm like, well, I did put a serious amount of money into like fixed investment, structure of a warehouse. And I'm thinking long term. People are like my accountant 3 years ago was like, if you were ever to stop Amazon, what would you do with that? I'm like, it's a big warehouse in South Armagh.
Insert joke here. Yeah.
We would get it filled. Um, but I'm thinking long term. Like I spoke to at a guy at the house the other day, he was telling me about a local businessman who sold up their business for 300 million a couple of years ago. Still works in it. And he said he was down doing work in his house. And I'd be exactly the same. If I had that sort of money in the bank tomorrow, I might buy other houses elsewhere, but this is home. I'd still be selling on Amazon. Believe it or not, I still would because it's just a game to me.
Do you think a lot of people lose or lack that long-term patience or vision when it comes to just life or Amazon or business in general?
Um, just checking it. You see in the comments 15 minutes ago, it says in that live was live.
Yeah, so I was aware it wasn't live. It's recording. We'll just pull the recording down, chop it up a bit, and then post it properly.
Cool. So I didn't hear all your question. What did you say?
I was just asking about you've you've mentioned several times long term,
Yes.
thinking long, patience. Do you think it's hard for people nowadays to have long term viewpoints of things and perspective?
I think, and this is coming very much from personal experience here and getting a wee bit sort of vulnerable on call here. I think it's incredibly hard for people to settle their mind these days. And I think the sort of person that wants to go and set up a business, whether that's washing windows or online e-commerce, they're they're not your normal person. They want to go and do this sort of thing. You have to be a wee bit touched in the head. Not always a bad thing, but they're usually the fella in school that the teacher was sitting complaining about in the staff room. They're the person that wouldn't sit down. They were the one that the teacher was like, I don't know what's going to become of this fella. They're a wee bit of a, oh look, a dog. And you're like, could you sit down and do your work? Because you have to be that sort of wee bit wired to want to set up a business because it's bloody hard. There's a lot of things fighting you from all angles. For me, I'll not get into it too much in this, but for me, certain sort of life events have put a lot of things into perspective, and it has made me very easy to realize most things in life don't matter a button of damn. They just do not matter. And I'm sitting going, right, I can see what I'm building here. I've had 9 years, well, 8 years of previous data that shows this works. And now I'm sitting going, right. That's effort that's not really amounting to much. Here is what I want to do. I want to be working with global brands. I'm just going to lift the phone and phone them and say, give us a couple of weeks. I write a note in my diary, and 3 weeks later, I phone them back and give them, hello, good to see you. And it's that sort of thing, very much focused on it. And like, knock all that out of the road.
I'm
That
trying to remember.
that doesn't go anywhere. I have my year plan written in the first two pages of that. And then every week I write the goals that I want to achieve in it. And then day and daily, it's just notes, whether it's a phone number, whether it's a bank transfer, it needs to be done, whatever it is. It's in no fancy apps, no nothing. If it goes in that book, it gets done. And everything else, if it's not there, like I've had so many opportunities presented to me in the last month, and I've been like, that's cool, but for the next 6 months, FBM. Don't care about anything else. Just that's it. And it's really hard because suppliers that I've wanted to get things going with emailed me out in like, "Hey, man, how are you?" And I'm like, "If you'd have emailed me 2 months ago, it'd have been all over this." But now I'm working on something. And it's Elon Musk. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to what you're already doing. So
True.
it's you have to be very focused on it. It's so hard. Guy sat down the other night to write an email. It took me an hour to write one email.
It's a paradox because the characteristics to want to start something yourself means that you're interested in lots of different things and you want to learn things, you want to work on things that aren't in essence normal, but when you're actually running it, it's still the same things going on that you're still distracted. And I really can't remember who said it. I think it might have, I can't remember who said it. Um, but that they were talking about business owners and entrepreneurship. And he basically said you need to have something wrong with you to want to do this.
That was me 5 minutes ago. You do.
I'm glad it's been
Like,
edited. Yeah.
there's, well, like, here's the thing. Like, there's so many times recently I've looked at people that work a 9 to 5 job. Like, I was somewhere recently and I seen a guy, it was 6 o'clock in the evening. He was out cutting the grass in the garden, and I was going, I've still so much to get done today. Wouldn't it be nice just to have a nice 9 to 5 and just be able to come home and not have to worry about something? And I think if I had to long term go back to doing a regular nine, if I had to go back to teaching now, it would not bode well for me. It really wouldn't.
or your
Um,
students.
well, yes, that's why I had to stop teaching. Um, but it just, I couldn't. I love the game of what I do, but I don't think people fully commit to it. I remember two
Why?
years ago, they don't believe in themselves enough to do it. And I don't want to get into, you have to, burn the ships and really go in at it because I was that naive. I was like, no, it doesn't go. And I am in the privileged enough position whereby I have demonstrated to myself that I can do this. Like, I was speaking to my father 2 weeks ago before that phone call with that big company. And I was saying about, I can approve their listings, I can sell across Ireland, I can run their advertising campaigns, I can do all this. And he's like, and can you do any of that? And I'm like, absolutely. And I could have that all done in a month. I'm like, without question, I can do it. And I was like, I'll send you links if you want. Like, here's what we have done. Like, I've, I'm very arrogant in what I can do. If I say I can do something, I know I can do it. I'd bloody do it. I'll get it done. Because it's that whole one of, nobody's coming to save you. If nobody's coming to save you, nobody's coming to stop you. Go and do it. Get it done. If you don't want to do it, great. Stick to your job. If you're not happy, figure out why you're not
Being
happy.
happy, yeah.
Is trying to source at 2 o'clock in the morning to see if there's any toys to buy out of an August 3 for 20 sale is not going to make you happy in life. If you want to set up a business, like there is a lot of businesses out there that you could set up for a lot less hassle than aggro. But this is something I absolutely bloody love. And like I just think the game of it's so much fun.
Love it.